Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson, a World Alternative Media here, and of course I'm joined by author and economic analyst here at WAM, John Sneisen, and we're going to talk about Suriname. So what's the news, John?
Well, this is actually a little bit of older news. It's a news article from the Jamaican Observer, which talks about that thousands protest against electricity price hikes in Suriname. And it says that 5,000 people took to the streets Friday, May the 13th, to protest the rate hike. So I guess this almost seems like the government actually owns the monopoly on the electricity there again.
Yeah.
So of course they control the prices, but Suriname has a massive amount of inflation. It's actually the fourth highest in the world right now, which is 36.6% inflation. Now that is a very substantial inflation just within a year. So it's literally losing 36%. If you had your money saved up in the fiat paper or currency in Suriname, well, now you actually would get really hurt because you lost basically 36.6% of your purchasing power. And if your salary didn't increase that much, well, now of course you're poor. But what they're planning to do, they're looking at getting an IMF loan, and it looks like it's going to go through. It's a $478 million standby agreement, which is basically money that they provide over 2 years to IMF. But in order, they need to implement different things in Suriname, and one of them is creating a bigger social net. So more government Keynesian programs.
Yeah,
to
they
protect
always
the people.
all these countries, they and the central banks and the banking system that's involved at a global level, they always try and implement more government to solve the problems of too much government. And of course, Suriname is a South American Dutch country that actually only has less than about 600,000 people in it, but it's obviously another huge extreme example of how Keynesian economics goes wrong and how socialist central planning always fails. So can you go a bit further into it?
Yeah, and also, like the government here provided $160 million subsidy annually, like they actually provide that annually to the power company in order to keep its prices down. So that just shows you again, they're probably spending that out of, I don't know where to get their money, if they have it or if they actually borrow it. They actually have a substantial deficit. It's not crazy, but they have, I believe it was 5.10% annually, which is a lot of money that they borrow that they can't get an income from the Suriname people. Now, also, when you talk about that $160 million subsidy that they give to the electrical company to keep the electrical price lower, and people still are complaining. Now, if they didn't do that, they probably would have to increase the rates even further. So this just tells you that there's trying to fix solutions again with central planning, and it's very sickening watching this because what they believe is that they could just spend a whole bunch of money, the government, and then drive prices down.
It's just not how it works.
No, because supply and demand always is there, and trying to win over the central plans, and they will lose at one point. And of course, if you were in Suriname, you lost 36.6% already. And if your salary didn't go up 36.6%, well, think about that. Now you literally have lost 36.6% of your purchasing power.
Yeah, absolutely. This is another example and another extreme example of that of out of control central planning that is destroying people's lives. People's lives are being ruined by this. And yes, it's a country with less than 600,000 people, but those 600,000 people are suffering. And, this is why we try and bring you these stories, because not a whole lot of people are going to talk about Suriname. And obviously, people need to speak up for them because they are getting thrown to the dust like all these other countries, like we see in Venezuela, like we see in Greece, like we see in Argentina.
Yeah, and IMF seized the opportunity right now to come in and capitalize on the opportunity like they did in Cyprus and Greece, where they borrow the money. They know that they can't pay it back, so they come in and borrow money, wait until they're bankrupt, and then IMF and their friends comes in and say well, give me your assets, your transportation, your commodities for free.
Yeah. Well, we know that central planning never works, never has, never will. I mean, there's little periods where things work out just fine, but in the long term, it doesn't. And it's usually meant for a wartime scenario, like Keynesian economics. It's not supposed to be used long term. It's only supposed to be used in the event of all-out world war.
And it showed the more and more government spends money, the less and less actual growth they get out of it. So it's just an idea that it's not going to work out for Suriname, and I do believe like IMF is just happy right now to just screw Suriname, the Suriname people over, and then have some corrupt people, take.
And then
they'll
say, well, right now it's okay. See, it worked for this temporary little period of time, and then later on it works, and it comes down on them that much harder. And it's just another example of the so-called definition of insanity. Try things over and over again, expecting different results, and they're basically trying to put out a fire with kerosene in this situation, and it's ridiculous. And I want people to see what's happening out there. We need to be focusing on countries like Suriname, and we need to give them some help, and not personally, not financially, give them some help by freeing up their economy, telling them to get into the streets and tell their government, we've had enough of this. Enough of this. Come on, this needs to be coming down to the individual, to the person, to the free market, to sound money, not the central planning that's tried over and over again, never works, never has, and paper money always reverts to zero. Eventually, it's natural. So let's put this message out there and tell the people of Suriname that we're with you, and we want you to be able to free up your society and become free individuals.
Yeah, paper money always fails, and the greed as part of the driver of having a paper currency always destroys the currency, and with it, the people.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, John, for bringing us this story. It's another story that we don't usually see anywhere, because people see these countries as unimportant, but they are not. These are individuals, hundreds of thousands of individuals who are suffering, and what can we say? We try to give people the advice that they can use in order to insure their family and make sure that they become more independent people and they stay safe in the event of an economic crash. So please heed the warning. This goes for all other countries. This is a globalist issue. So let's focus on this. Let's make sure that we are free individuals and we aren't taken advantage of and made debt slaves by out-of-control central banks and government. Thank you, John. We'll come back at you with much more. This is Josh Sigurdson and John Sneisen signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.